The world of Buddhism is vast and rich with traditions that have evolved over centuries to meet the diverse needs and perspectives of practitioners. Among them, Mahayana, or the Great Vehicle, stands out as an innovative and inclusive approach that has expanded the horizons of Buddhist practice. From its historical roots to its philosophical transformations, Mahayana introduced new concepts, methods, and ideals that have profoundly shaped Buddhism as we know it today. This text delves into the fundamental differences between Mahayana and other Buddhist traditions, exploring its unique philosophy and spiritual impact. Vajrayana, known as the Diamond Path, is one of the most fascinating forms of Buddhism. To understand its origins, we must travel back in time to ancient India, between the 4th and 6th centuries CE. During this era, spiritual practices called tantras began to spread widely. These tantras were prominent in Hinduism, particularly in the worship of the god Shiva, and included rituals, symbols, and unique meditative techniques that linked the body and mind. Known as Shiva Tantra, these practices proposed that through powerful rituals, one could access hidden energies and profoundly transform life. As these practices gained traction, Buddhist masters began to observe their impact and saw an opportunity to adapt some of these ideas to enhance the Buddhist teachings. By the 7th century, Buddhism began to incorporate Tantric influences, creating a unique form of practice that blended ancient rituals with Buddhist wisdom. This was not merely an exchange of ideas but a way to make Buddhism more relevant at the time, especially to gain the support of kings and influential leaders. This integration helped Vajrayana emerge as a distinct and innovative approach. Between the 7th and 9th centuries, Vajrayana began to establish itself as a fully fledged school within Buddhism. It was no longer just a mix of ideas but a complete system of practices and teachings. During this period, Vajrayana gained prominence and began influencing entire cultures and societies, particularly in Tibet. It was during this time that Vajrayana's practices and symbols truly crystallized, reaching their peak between the 9th and 12th centuries. This period saw the codification of many fundamental texts and practices that form the core of Vajrayana today. One of the most striking features of Vajrayana is its use of powerful symbols. A prime example is the mandala, an intricate circular design representing the universe and its complexity. These mandalas are not merely artistic. They are spiritual tools used in rituals to help practitioners connect with the cosmos and their own minds. During rituals, mandalas serve as maps, guiding individuals on their spiritual journeys and helping awaken the potential for enlightenment within each person. Thus, Vajrayana was born from a fusion of cultures and ideas, transforming into a unique and profound spiritual approach. It not only adapted ancient practices but refined them, giving them a new purpose always centered on the pursuit of enlightenment. The story of Vajrayana shows how different traditions can come together to create something new and powerful, capable of transforming lives and inspiring generations. Vajrayana is a Buddhist school that has always carried an aura of mystery. Its practices and teachings were kept secret for a long time, primarily because Vajrayana employs methods considered bold, even dangerous, for the unprepared. To safeguard this knowledge and prevent misuse, many texts were written in metaphorical language, almost like codes. Only those initiated and guided by experienced masters could fully understand the meaning of these teachings. This brings us to the essential role of the Vajra master. In Vajrayana, the master is not just a teacher but an indispensable spiritual guide. They lead practitioners through initiation rituals and empowerment ceremonies, teaching them how to access and apply the most advanced practices. This relationship is based on absolute trust, as the master is seen as someone who has walked the path and knows how to avoid its dangers. Loyalty to the master was not just recommended but became a central moral rule, ensuring that the teachings were transmitted safely and respectfully. Another striking aspect of Vajrayana is its transgressive approach. It challenges traditional norms by including practices that, to many, might seem controversial. These include rituals involving substances or actions considered taboo, such as the ritualized use of alcohol or even sexual practices. However, these practices are not carried out in a vulgar or reckless manner. They are rooted in a philosophy of non-duality, seeking to break rigid concepts such as pure and impure. Vajrayana teaches that, when used consciously and with purpose, even the most mundane elements can become paths to enlightenment. Vajrayana also innovated by revaluing the human body. While other Buddhist schools often treated the body as a source of attachment or suffering, Vajrayana sees it as a powerful tool for spiritual transformation. It introduced concepts like chakras and energy channels, showing that the body is not just a physical vessel but a means through which we can explore and connect our spiritual energy with the universe. Vajrayana, therefore, is not just a school of thought. It is a complete system that transforms how we perceive the body, mind, and world. Its unique characteristics make it a challenging yet deeply enriching path, capable of guiding practitioners to a broader and more liberating understanding of reality. Buddhism has developed over centuries into various traditions, each offering a unique approach to attaining enlightenment. Theravada, for instance, is often referred to as the path of the elders. It focuses on individual enlightenment, with the ultimate goal being to become an arahant, someone who has overcome the cycle of rebirth by transcending desire, anger, and ignorance. This tradition emphasizes strict discipline, deep meditation, and renunciation of worldly desires as the primary means to awakening. Mahayana expanded this focus, placing the ideal of the Bodhisattva at the heart of its practice. The Bodhisattva does not seek personal enlightenment alone but is committed to helping all beings achieve that state. This tradition introduced the idea that enlightenment is a collective goal and that personal sacrifice for the benefit of others is a central virtue. The ultimate aim of Mahayana is to attain the state of a fully realized Buddha, embodying both compassion and wisdom. Then comes Vajrayana, which introduces an even bolder and more direct approach. This tradition brought the concept of the Siddha, practitioners who achieve spiritual perfection through methods that may initially seem challenging or even transgressive. Vajrayana emphasizes that enlightenment can be attained in a single lifetime by employing intense rituals and receiving empowerment from deities or qualified masters. It's as if Vajrayana represents a faster, more intense path that requires careful preparation and proper guidance. One of the most striking differences in Vajrayana lies in its ethics. While Theravada and Mahayana emphasize celibacy and non-violence, Vajrayana allows, under specific ritualistic and spiritual contexts, practices that challenge these norms. These practices, however, are carried out within a profound spiritual framework, focusing on transforming the energies of desire and aggression into pathways for awakening. The goal is not to break rules for the sake of it, but to transcend them in a purposeful and enlightened manner. When comparing these traditions, Vajrayana stands out for its intensity and directness. It employs bold and symbolic methods that set it apart from the disciplined and methodical approach of Theravada and the compassionate, inclusive focus of Mahayana. Together, these traditions illustrate Buddhism's richness and its adaptability to the needs and lifestyles of diverse practitioners while maintaining the shared goal of enlightenment. Despite its depth and richness, Vajrayana faces significant challenges and criticisms, both within and outside the Buddhist context. One major concern is the hierarchical structure of the tradition, where the Vajra master holds a central position of authority. While this relationship between master and disciple is considered essential for spiritual progress, it also opens the door to potential abuses, especially in practices involving transgressive rituals, such as those related to sexuality. Unfortunately, in some cases, this dynamic has been misused, raising questions about the ethics and boundaries of such relationships. Another point of criticism lies in the ethical contrasts between Vajrayana and other Buddhist traditions. Vajrayana permits certain practices considered transgressive, such as the ritualized use of substances or actions that break social taboos, whereas traditions like Theravada strongly emphasize celibacy and asceticism. For many, these Vajrayana practices appear incompatible with the core principles of Buddhism, sparking debates about its legitimacy. However, Vajrayana advocates argue that these practices serve as powerful tools to break the limitations of dualistic thinking and achieve enlightenment. In modern times, many practitioners reinterpret Vajrayana practices symbolically and psychologically rather than following them literally. This contemporary approach highlights the value of meditations and visualizations as tools for transforming mental patterns and fostering a deeper understanding of reality. In this context, elements such as mandalas and mantras are seen as means to explore the mind and unlock its potential, rather than strictly religious rituals. On a philosophical level, Vajrayana remains highly relevant, especially for its emphasis on the non-dual nature of reality. It challenges common perceptions of right and wrong or pure and impure, offering a unique approach to understanding the interconnected world beyond rigid distinctions. While this perspective is powerful, it is also seen as controversial by some, who view it as a form of dangerous relativism. In conclusion, Vajrayana elicits both admiration and skepticism. Its challenging practices and transformative potential continue to attract practitioners worldwide, while its complexities and ethical vulnerabilities spark discussions about its relevance in the modern world. It remains a bold and profound path within Buddhism, constantly reinterpreted in light of contemporary challenges. Theravada, or the doctrine of the elders, is the oldest form of Buddhism still practiced in the world today. It is based on the Tipitaka, also known as the Pali Canon, a collection of texts containing the earliest records of the Buddha's teachings. These texts serve as a map guiding practitioners on the path to enlightenment, presenting teachings ranging from monastic rules to deep philosophical reflections on the nature of the mind and reality. For centuries, Theravada remained the primary form of Buddhism in Southeast Asian countries like Thailand, Myanmar, Sri Lanka, Laos, and Cambodia. Today, it has over 100 million followers worldwide, many of whom find in this tradition a direct connection to the original teachings of the Buddha. Due to its predominance in this region, Theravada is often referred to as the Southern Buddhism. The history of Theravada is marked by a strong commitment to preserving the Buddha's teachings. In the centuries following his death, the teachings were transmitted orally. This meant that monks memorized long texts and recited them regularly to ensure their accuracy. This oral tradition remained vibrant until around 100 BCE, when monks in Sri Lanka, recognizing the risk of losing these teachings due to crises and social changes, decided to write them down in the Pali language. This pivotal moment ensured the survival of Theravada by safeguarding the teachings for future generations. Theravada is also unique for its adherence to the initial principles of Buddhism. While other schools expanded, reinterpreted, or adapted the teachings, Theravada has strived to maintain what it considers the essence of the Buddha's message: a focus on personal discipline, meditation, and direct understanding of the Four Noble Truths and the Noble Eightfold Path. For this reason, it is often described as the most pure or traditional form of Buddhism, although this characterization is a subject of debate among the various traditions. As the sole surviving non-Mahayana school, Theravada offers a window into the past, enabling modern practitioners to experience a spiritual path deeply rooted in the foundations of Buddhism. It continues to inspire millions of people worldwide, helping them cultivate discipline, mental clarity, and a profound understanding of impermanence and the nature of life. At the heart of Theravada are the Buddha's fundamental teachings, offering a practical and profound way to understand life and overcome suffering. The starting point lies in the Four Noble Truths, considered the essence of Buddhism. The first truth teaches about the reality of suffering, known as dukkha, which permeates all aspects of existence, from daily challenges to the inevitable processes of aging, illness, and death. The second truth identifies the cause of this suffering: desire or attachment, referred to as tanha. It is the craving for pleasure, avoidance of discomfort, and the attempt to control the uncontrollable that keeps us trapped in suffering. The third truth brings hope, explaining that suffering can cease when desire is abandoned. Finally, the fourth truth presents the path to liberation, the Noble Eightfold Path, a practical guide for transforming one's mind and life. The Noble Eightfold Path serves as a spiritual compass, organizing the steps toward a fulfilled and enlightened life. It is divided into three main areas: ethical conduct, meditation, and wisdom. Ethical conduct forms the foundation, guiding practitioners to act rightly, use words that do no harm, and choose a lifestyle beneficial to oneself and others. With this base established, practitioners progress to meditation, cultivating right effort, mindfulness, and concentration, essential tools for training the mind. Finally, the path leads to the development of wisdom, helping practitioners understand reality clearly, free of illusions, and align their intentions with the principles of compassion, detachment, and balance. The ultimate goal of Theravada is to attain the state of nibbana, or nirvana, representing complete liberation from the cycle of samsara, the continuous birth, death, and rebirth. Nibbana is not merely the cessation of suffering but a state of absolute peace, free from ignorance, attachment, and the illusions that bind us to worldly suffering. Reaching this state means transcending all limitations of existence and attaining a profound understanding of life's true nature. Although these teachings are presented in simple terms, their depth challenges practitioners to look inward with honesty and courage. They form the core of Theravada and continue to inspire millions worldwide, offering a clear path to transform the mind, live with greater balance, and ultimately achieve true spiritual freedom. Theravada stands out for its practical and structured approach to achieving enlightenment, centered on three fundamental pillars: morality, sila, meditation, samadhi, and wisdom, panna. These three elements form the foundation of a balanced path that guides practitioners toward mental transformation and a profound understanding of reality. Each of these pillars is integrated into a series of practices and teachings that shape the daily lives of Theravada followers. At the core of this tradition is the Tipitaka, or three baskets, a collection of scriptures considered the oldest records of the Buddha's teachings. It is divided into three parts: the Vinaya, which contains monastic disciplinary rules essential for harmony and structure within the monastic community; the Sutta, a collection of the Buddha's discourses offering practical and spiritual guidance; and the Abhidhamma, which philosophically analyzes the mind and the nature of existence. Together, these texts serve as a compass for practitioners, providing both ethical foundations and deep reflections. The Sangha, the community comprising monks, bhikkhus, and nuns, bhikkhunis, plays an essential role in the Theravada tradition. It is responsible for preserving and transmitting the Buddha's teachings across generations. Additionally, the Sangha serves as a living example of the teachings, demonstrating how it is possible to live in alignment with the principles of the Dhamma. The relationship between the monastic community and lay followers is mutually supportive. Monks provide spiritual teachings and guidance, while lay people support the Sangha through donations and material assistance. Among the most emphasized practices in Theravada, generosity, dana, holds a special place. This practice is not merely about donating material goods but also about cultivating detachment and compassion. It helps reduce attachment and encourages actions that benefit both the practitioner and others. Meditation, another crucial pillar, is guided by the principles of satipatthana, mindfulness, which combines two main elements: tranquility, samatha, and insight, vipassana. While samatha calms the mind and develops concentration, vipassana allows practitioners to observe reality as it truly is, revealing impermanence and the absence of a fixed self. Furthermore, the 5 precepts form the ethical foundation for all Theravada followers. These precepts involve abstaining from killing, stealing, sexual misconduct, lying, and intoxication. They serve as practical guidelines for living harmoniously, both with oneself and others, preventing actions that cause suffering. Theravada combines a disciplined structure with deeply transformative practices. It offers a clear path for those seeking to develop ethics, mental clarity, and wisdom, helping them navigate life's challenges while cultivating a deeper understanding of existence. This focused and practical approach continues to inspire millions worldwide, demonstrating that enlightenment is achievable through simple yet profoundly meaningful steps. Until the 19th century, Theravada Buddhism remained largely confined to Southeast Asia, flourishing in countries like Sri Lanka, Myanmar, Thailand, Laos, and Cambodia. Its teachings and practices were deeply integrated into the cultures of these regions, shaping social norms, art, and daily life. However, outside these borders, Theravada was virtually unknown. This changed dramatically over the last century as the tradition began to gain recognition and influence in Western countries. The initial spark came from scholars, explorers, and travelers who were captivated by the profound wisdom of Buddhist teachings and the cultural richness of the Theravada tradition. The growing fascination with Theravada in the West led to the establishment of monasteries and meditation centers across the globe, particularly in countries like the United States, Canada, the United Kingdom, and other European nations. These centers became hubs of learning and practice, founded by Asian monks as well as Western practitioners who had trained extensively in Southeast Asia. They played a crucial role in making the teachings of the Buddha accessible to people from diverse backgrounds. The Western embrace of Theravada was fueled by its emphasis on mindfulness and meditation practices, which were seen as practical tools for coping with the stress and challenges of modern life. One of the most transformative elements of Theravada's integration into Western culture has been the widespread adoption of mindfulness meditation. Originally rooted in the Buddhist concept of satipatthana, mindfulness, this practice has evolved into a global phenomenon. Mindfulness is now taught not only in meditation retreats and Buddhist centers but also in secular settings like schools, hospitals, and corporate offices. It has become a cornerstone of therapeutic approaches such as mindfulness-based stress reduction, MBSR, and mindfulness-based cognitive therapy, MBCT, which have helped millions manage anxiety, depression, and other mental health challenges. However, the dissemination of Theravada in the West has not been without its challenges. A significant issue is the potential dilution of its core teachings. Theravada's philosophical and ethical framework is deeply rooted in over 2,500 years of tradition, and there is a risk that simplifying its concepts to appeal to a broader audience may lead to misunderstandings or misrepresentations. While mindfulness is widely practiced, its integration with ethical conduct, sila, and wisdom, panna, as emphasized in the Theravada tradition, is often overlooked in secular adaptations. This disconnection may limit the transformative power of the practice as originally intended. Another challenge is reconciling traditional Theravada practices with contemporary Western lifestyles. Traditional practices often involve extended meditation periods, disciplined monastic life, and adherence to the 5 precepts, which can be difficult for many Westerners to incorporate into their fast-paced, material-driven lives. To address this, some Theravada communities have embraced technology and digital platforms to reach younger audiences, offering online meditation courses, live-stream teachings, and apps that make Buddhist principles more accessible. While these innovations have broadened Theravada's reach, they also raise questions about maintaining the depth and authenticity of the teachings in a digital age. Cultural differences have also shaped the evolution of Theravada in the West. Traditional Theravada is deeply hierarchical, with monks and teachers occupying positions of great authority. However, Western Theravada communities often prefer more egalitarian structures, which can sometimes lead to tensions or misunderstandings. Despite these challenges, the tradition has shown remarkable resilience and adaptability, thriving in new cultural landscapes. What remains unchanged is the timeless relevance of Theravada's core teachings. At its heart, the tradition emphasizes direct experience and personal transformation through disciplined practice. The Buddha's instruction to come and see for yourself invites practitioners to test his teachings rather than accept them on blind faith. This experiential approach resonates deeply with modern seekers, who often value personal agency and evidence-based practices. Today, Theravada is no longer just the heritage of Southeast Asia but a global spiritual tradition inspiring millions. Its emphasis on mindfulness, ethical living, and the pursuit of wisdom provides a framework for navigating the complexities of modern existence. By offering tools for inner peace and self-awareness, Theravada has found a home in a world increasingly seeking balance, clarity, and purpose. In conclusion, the spread of Theravada Buddhism to the West highlights its universal appeal and enduring relevance. Despite challenges of adaptation and preservation, the tradition has managed to maintain its essence while evolving to meet contemporary society's needs. Through mindfulness practices, ethical guidance, or profound philosophical insights, Theravada continues to illuminate paths, transform lives, and offer sanctuary to those seeking peace in a turbulent world. Mahayana Buddhism, also known as the Great Vehicle, emerged around the 1st century BCE, centuries after the Buddha's passing in the 5th century BCE. Contrary to popular belief, its rise was not marked by abrupt schisms or violent divisions among monastics. Instead, Mahayana practices and ideas coexisted harmoniously with other Buddhist traditions within the same monasteries. This coexistence was possible because, despite differing approaches, the foundational monastic rules were shared, allowing various perspectives to flourish side by side. The origins of Mahayana are deeply intertwined with evolving perceptions of the Buddha and his teachings. After his death, the Buddha was increasingly venerated not only as an enlightened human being but also as someone whose accomplishments surpassed those of the Arahants, the ultimate goal of early Buddhism. This shift in understanding paved the way for new interpretations that emphasized his universal compassion and ability to guide all beings toward enlightenment. One significant factor in Mahayana's development was the emergence of texts and practices rooted in meditative revelations. Many meditators reported profound experiences and visions interpreted as direct teachings from the Buddha or other enlightened beings, such as bodhisattvas. These revelations enriched the existing Buddhist literary tradition, introducing new concepts and methods. Additionally, the advent of writing around the 1st century BCE marked a turning point. Before this, teachings were transmitted orally and memorized, but writing enabled innovative Mahayana texts to be recorded and disseminated, existing alongside the traditional scriptures. This confluence of influences, the reinterpretation of the Buddha's role, meditative revelations, and the adoption of written texts, allowed Mahayana to establish itself as a distinct approach within Buddhism. It expanded the scope of spiritual aspirations, introducing a more compassionate and inclusive vision where the Bodhisattva ideal became central. Unlike the Arahant, who seeks personal liberation from suffering, the Bodhisattva dedicates their journey to helping all beings attain enlightenment, often postponing their own ultimate liberation to fulfill this altruistic mission. The Mahayana's emphasis on the Bodhisattva ideal also brought a broader perspective to Buddhist ethics and practice. Compassion and wisdom were no longer seen solely as personal achievements, but as qualities to be cultivated for the benefit of all. This transformative vision resonated deeply with practitioners, fostering a sense of interconnectedness and solidarity that extended beyond individual goals. Over time, Mahayana spread across various regions of Asia, significantly shaping the course of Buddhist history. It took root in countries such as China, Japan, Korea, and Tibet, each adapting the teachings to its cultural context. The Mahayana tradition's adaptability and philosophical richness have made it a cornerstone of Buddhism, influencing not only spiritual practices but also art, literature, and social values. In conclusion, Mahayana's emergence represents a pivotal moment in the evolution of Buddhism. By broadening the spiritual horizon and emphasizing compassion as a central tenet, it offered a path that resonated with diverse communities and continues to inspire practitioners worldwide. This inclusivity and emphasis on altruism have left an indelible mark, ensuring Mahayana's enduring relevance in the spiritual landscape of today. The emergence of Mahayana Buddhism brought profound transformations to the goals and practices of Buddhism, establishing a clear and innovative distinction from Theravada. While Theravada emphasizes individual pursuit of enlightenment, represented by the Arahant ideal, Mahayana introduced a broader and more altruistic model, the Bodhisattva. In Theravada, the Arahant is someone who achieves personal liberation from suffering by breaking free from the cycle of rebirth, samsara, through meditation, ethical discipline, and wisdom. In contrast, the Bodhisattva in Mahayana takes a vow to remain within this cycle, regardless of their spiritual merits, until all beings can also attain enlightenment. This commitment is not merely an abstract ideal but a tangible vow defining the path of the Bodhisattva. The practitioner seeks not only their benefit but dedicates their life to universal compassion and service, extending their practice to encompass the suffering and liberation of all beings. This new model brought a sharper focus on interdependence, solidarity, and altruism, reshaping how practitioners viewed their role in the spiritual world. Mahayana also introduced the perfections, paramithas, which highlight essential qualities to be cultivated along the spiritual journey. These include generosity, dana, ethics, sila, patience, kshanti, effort, virya, concentration, dhyana, and wisdom, prajna. Among these, wisdom holds a central position and is deeply explored in the Prajnaparamita Sutras, which introduce the concept of emptiness, shunyata. Emptiness reveals that all phenomena lack intrinsic essence and arise in interdependence with other conditions. This understanding not only redefines reality but also fosters deep compassion, as practitioners realize the shared interdependence of all beings. The differences between Mahayana and Theravada extend beyond abstract theories. They reflect distinct approaches to the spiritual path. While Theravada emphasizes personal discipline and liberation, Mahayana expands this vision to include the liberation of all beings. Despite their differences, these traditions are complementary, enriching the Buddhist tradition as a whole. Theravada provides a solid foundation of discipline and meditation, while Mahayana offers an expansive vision of compassion and universal wisdom. Together, they demonstrate that enlightenment can be approached in various ways, inspiring millions of practitioners worldwide to pursue transformation with profound understanding and compassion. The philosophy of Mahayana Buddhism marked a turning point in Buddhist thought, introducing concepts that challenged traditional perceptions and expanded the understanding of reality and spiritual practice. One of its central pillars is the concept of emptiness, shunyata, articulated in the Prajnaparamita Sutras and explored by Nagarjuna, founder of the Madhyamaka school. Emptiness does not signify non-existence, but rather the absence of any fixed or independent essence in all phenomena. Everything exists interdependently, arising and ceasing due to causes and conditions. This perspective dismantles the notion of separation between objects and individuals, inviting a view of the world as a dynamic flow of relationships. Nagarjuna demonstrated that shunyata is a tool to avoid the extremes of absolute existence and non-existence, helping dissolve attachments and dualities such as self and other, enabling liberation from mental constructs that limit perception. Another core element of Mahayana is the concept of Buddha nature, Tathagatagarbha, which asserts that all beings inherently possess the potential to achieve enlightenment. This optimistic and inclusive perspective emphasizes that enlightenment is not reserved for a select few but is attainable by everyone. Buddha nature is likened to a jewel hidden in mud, present but requiring uncovering through spiritual practice. While some argue it risks introducing an essential self, contradicting teachings on anatta, non-self, it is widely embraced as a metaphor that motivates practitioners to recognize interconnectedness and strive for awakening. Mahayana philosophy also emphasizes non-duality, rejecting distinctions such as self and other, good and bad, or existence and non-existence. These are seen as mental constructs that distort reality. True understanding of non-duality dissolves these barriers, fostering a balanced and integrated experience where all things are interconnected. This perspective not only redefines how reality is perceived but also cultivates compassion, wisdom, and equanimity essential for spiritual progress. These three pillars, emptiness, Buddha nature, and non-duality, offer a transformative framework for Mahayana practice. Emptiness teaches letting go of attachments and understanding interconnectedness. Buddha nature inspires faith in inherent potential, and non-duality fosters an integrated, harmonious view of existence. Together, they continue to resonate in contemporary Buddhism, challenging traditional views and offering a compelling path to awakening. Buddhist schools such as Theravada, Mahayana, and Vajrayana show us that the path to enlightenment can take many forms, yet the ultimate goal remains the same: to seek wisdom, compassion, and freedom from suffering. Each tradition offers something unique, whether it's the discipline and simplicity of Theravada, the altruism and philosophical depth of Mahayana, or the transformative symbolism and intensity of Vajrayana. They are like distinct trails on a vast mountain, each unique, yet all leading to the same summit. The most fascinating part: you can explore these paths in a way that resonates with you. It doesn't matter where you start or which tradition you choose. What truly matters is taking that first step and opening yourself to the teachings. If this content sparked your curiosity or broadened your perspective, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel for more thought-provoking insights like this. Which of these schools caught your attention the most? Let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. And remember, it's not about which path you take, but how you walk your journey. See you in the next video.